Hey TechKnowStuds! Not all pictures are saved where it has information on each individual pixel. Instead, it saves mathematical equations or mathematical points. So let's take a look at the difference between raster graphics and vector graphics. Here we have a picture of Mario, and we save information on each one of these pixels on how much red, green, and blue there is. This is what's called raster graphics. Where raster graphics has these individual pixels, vector graphics actually has mathematical points. So in this example, we have a circle. And there's just 3 pieces of information we really need to know about the circle. We need the center where it begins. So that is an XY coordinate. So there's 2 numbers right there. Then we also need the circumference. So that's 3 numbers. So we could draw a circle with just 3 numbers here. Now, if we did want to add coloring, maybe we have a coloring for what the inside of the circle is, we will have to add the 3 bytes for that information. If we wanted a separate piece of information for the circumference color of the circle, what the outline is going to be, then we need to store there. So we could possibly have to store a few other pieces of information, but for the most part, we just need 3 pieces of information to draw this circle. That's significantly less than what we'd have to do with a raster picture. So what are some of the advantages here? Well, number 1 is just the file size is significantly reduced. We only have to have 3 points of data here just to get started. It also scales really well. So now if we need to make this circle bigger, then all we have to do is change the C and we can create a perfect circle with that. And that's not an example of a perfect circle, but the point being is that this is going to scale really well versus we can't recreate when we have raster, when we scale it, we can't recreate new pixels in there. So we're just stretching out the pixels we already have. And then the other thing, changing color can be really simple. Once again, it's just a data point. So now we can just change the color and it will change all of this versus raster, much more difficult if we want to change the color within a raster picture. So let's see what this looks like. Here's an icon. It's just a vector information with this. So it's got all of these outlines with it. And what I can do is I can size this. So I'm going to enlarge this. And we notice as we enlarge, the edges of this still look really great. And I also can then just change the picture of whatever I want to change this to. So there's a lot of different colors that I can change this to. So that's an example of a vector graphic and the advantages of those vector graphics. This is a picture of our tiny little Mario. And so if I scroll in, we'll actually see the Mario character there. So now this is the raster. So if I were to enlarge this and make this larger, notice it just gets blurry. Because what it's doing is it's trying to fill in the gaps and guess what it's supposed to be, but there's no new information with this, and so it just ends up being a blurry picture. So when we end up taking photos or videos, those are all raster graphics and they definitely serve a purpose. But when it comes to something like maybe a logo that we're creating, that's vector graphics. So there's certain times that we'll use our raster and there's certain times we'll use those vector graphics.